Archeplay is a low-code API platform. This platform helps you to design, develop, test, and deploy APIs internet speed. So you can experience this platform by signing up to the trial. All right. So I have already signed up. So let me directly take you to the uh, platform itself. Okay. So I am going to create an API for a new product. Okay, let's first see what is will be the architecture of this product. So the product is, we will name that as, just for example, as Archeplay eLearn. And let's say we have a microservices inside this called e-learning. You might have multiple microservices. In this demo, I'm taking one example service. And inside that service, you would have multiple resources. Here I am taking one resource called course. So inside the course, you might have multiple tables. So that is student, which would store the information about the students who is joining this course, and a teacher who is moderating this course. And then the course would be having the content of the course itself, name, start date, end date, and other stuff. And registration table will store who are all the students enrolled to this courses. Let's start diving into, go and create this into a, with using Archeplay API product. So first, Archeplay starts with asking a product name. Let's give a product name as Archelearn. eLearn is a product name. Okay. So inside the Archeplay eLearn, I want to create a service. So whenever you create a service, there will be a catalog of pre-created architectures for your API deployment. So we would be using this AWS Python API Gateway Flask EKS. That means it is, this will be deployed on AWS. Language used to generate the auto low code automatic code is Python, and the API gateway platform we would be using is API Gateway. The web platform for exposing the applications we would use Flask, and it would be, these would be deployed on an elastic Kubernetes services in AWS, and databases would be DynamoDB, and authentication we use AWS Cognito. So like this, we have created a curated applications, so of services, so you can use anyone which fits to your business need. For now, I would choose this, right? And let's say I give a service name as e-learning, right? So I'll just go ahead and give the service name as e-learning. So I created a service. Now I have to add a resource, right? So I will add a resource name called course. So once you added a resource, it will ask for the, what are all the tables you wanted to create. So we would create a first the table name called student. So what are the attributes of the student? Okay. So as per our design, so we have ID, name, and profile are the attributes of the student. So let's go ahead and do this. ID, name, profile, and all are strings. Okay. Add it. Then it is asking what is your primary index attributes of the attribute you have added. So as per our design, the primary key would be the ID itself. So I will choose ID as my primary key. If you want short keys, if you want a secondary keys, you can create as well. So submit. So as soon as a table indexes are created, based on the indexes, we populate all the possible actions for those indexes. Okay. So this is a create student. This would go and create a student in the API. This will go and get a particular student by ID. It will delete a student from the database. It will update a student details of the database. Okay. So you can add more APIs by manually. You can select a method what you want to give, and then give a path, and then you can add your own methods as well. So the beauty is, as soon as this auto-populated this one will also have a corresponding code also gets auto-populated as well. We also populate the test cases as well. Okay, so I'll come back to the test cases later. So uh, So how do we populate this code? This is a full code which will be applied for your functions. This code is made up of snippets. The snippets is actually a piece of code which will do a corresponding job. Okay, so what are the snippets available? So these are the snippets available for this. So this is only a because it's DynamoDB is added, so only DynamoDB specific snippets will be visible to here. So more and more snippets we would coming up for this scenario, and you can add your own custom code as well to update this particular functionality of this application for this particular API actions. Okay, so once the code is ready, right, so the code is, I'm not going to modify the auto populated code, but if you want you can customize it to your need. So once done this, so you can lively deploy this application. So let's go ahead and deploy this live DB. This will go and deploy the database in our local Archeplay setup in the same platform machines. So once the database is deployed, you can deploy the table and deploy the resource, and you can test the deployment as well. So while the table is getting deployed, so we can create one more table called teacher. So in the, let's see the attributes of the teacher table in our design. So it's ID, name, and profile. Let's go ahead and add these attributes: ID, name, and profile. Okay. And then what is the primary key? Let's go ahead and look at our design. So the primary key is ID. So I would use ID. Okay. So as soon as the teacher table is created, so you would see all the teacher related APIs are get populated automatically for you. So now let's go ahead and deploy these tables. So click on live table to deploy this student table. It's the same way, let's go ahead and click on live table to deploy the teacher table. So table will be pretty quick. So both the tables are created. So now let's go ahead and deploy the APIs. So click on the live resource to deploy the API. This would take up to a minute and a half, because this would take all this code, compile this code, create a Docker image, and deploy it on a Kubernetes on the same platform where it is running. So and then give back a URL for you to test this API, right? So right now I'm just manually clicking the live. So these live buttons you can have an automated, as in when you save the code you wanted to live deploy and fire the test cases. So those are the features are coming up next. So now the resources are deployed. You could see the actual URLs what you can use for hitting these APIs. Let's go ahead and create the test cases for this API. So for clicking the test cases, so we would auto populate the test cases based on the attribute. For now, let's go ahead and create the test cases here. So I'll give it as create student. So you can see all the methods in this resource. So I want to choose post method, because for create it will be always a post method. Okay, so here I wanted to add the sample data to create a student. So I have added a sample data, so it should be capitalized. So this is the sample data for creating the student. So name is, I'm ID, I'm just giving some random ID, and then I'm just giving a name as John and profile as John as an art student. Okay, so go ahead and save it. And in headers, if you wanted to add any headers you can do that as well. So then just click on test. So it will go and hit the API. So this API is gone and hit it, and then it is actually written the data. So that's why it given status code 200. Let's go ahead and test whether these is written by getting the this one. Create one more test case. Say get student. Okay. So choose the get operation. Say add. So drop down here, and then I want to pass the student ID in the URL. So edit the ID. So here you pass it as yes 0001 because that is the student ID of the John, right? What we created this one, and then get generally does not require any body, right? So let's do this. Say test. So we got it as yes. Get the response saying that ID is 001, name is John, and profile and the status code is 200. So we are able to create and get the student. So you can create more test cases for all the use cases, and then you can keep filing the use cases as and when you update the methods. So even after this, you can go ahead and add more table and update the resources as well. So we see those. How do we do this? We'll create more table. So let's create one more table called what is the next table? Let's go ahead and so table is course. So let's go ahead and create a course table. Okay, so the attributes of the table is ID, again name, start date of the course, end date of the course, start date, end date, and teacher who is associated to the course, teacher ID who is associated to the course. So let's add this. Okay, so now what is the primary key? This will be the course ID. So submit. So as soon as you submit, you would see that all the course informations also got populated. So now let's go ahead and live the table. So this will deploy the table course. So now we need to update the resources because it's already having the student and teacher. Even if you update any code in the student and teacher, those also gets updated as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and update resource. This will deploy the course as well. So then you can go ahead and create the test cases for those as well. So like this, you can keep continuously developing and live deploying it and testing it lively, all the unit test cases. This will save a ton of time you to develop, then go to a development environment and then deploying and testing it. So this will take some time. So meanwhile, this will take about a couple of minutes. So now all the resources are deployed. So you can go ahead and create the test cases for course and then check it as well. So it should work. So once it is, all these are lived and deployed and tested it, right? So you can design it, you can auto generate the code, customize the code and then deploy it. So then once it's all ready for the production deployment, you can click on deploy to get the generate the production deployment code. This would give you a complete information about the deployment of this. This will generate all the deployment scripts, and it will give you a one script to perform run it on the your wherever you want to run. In this case, it's in AWS. You can either configure your AWS credentials in one of the place and run this, copy and paste the script, it would work. Or you can put it in Jenkins or any other platform, it would work. So this is a complete automation script for you to deploy the complete platform in the production level deployment as well. Okay, this is as per the service type you have chosen. right? If you choose an Google Cloud, this one, it will be based on the Google Cloud. If you choose Azure, it will be based on the Azure, this one, right? So thank you for looking up this demo. So hope you like this platform. Thank you.